What is up, everybody? Welcome to Metabolomic Monday. I am super excited for tonight because tonight we have a very special Metabolomic Monday. We are going to actually go through somebody who has really we've done some testing and we really determined some things out. So tonight's topic is, could a chronic virus drive your autoimmune condition? So if you are here because you have an autoimmune condition and you're like, wow, I wonder if that could be, if I could have a chronic virus, then you may want to reach out. I'm going to go through some very specific markers on blood work that may be connected to chronic viruses that could indicate autoimmune conditions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we test in Hope Metabolomics to figure these things out, which may be a real benefit to you if you have an autoimmune condition. So when you're getting on, if you wouldn't mind putting down in the comments where you're coming in from, because I love to know that. And also whether you're watching this live or on the replay, because I got to know, are you getting the full energy of Dr. Jim live? Are you watching on the replay? But either way, tonight is going to be great because we're going to get really, really into the sort of the Hope Metabolomics process of how we help you with autoimmune conditions, with your health conditions. How do we determine where it's coming in, where it's coming from, and why it's happening, and all those kinds of things. So please, if you have an autoimmune condition and it's affecting your life or your health, please go ahead and just type in whatever autoimmune condition you may be dealing with down in the comments. Ask any questions that you want as we go through. Clearly, I can't give you personal medical advice on my live, but I can answer some general questions about that condition. And certainly you might be like, well, can we get on a phone call, Dr. Jim, and you can actually help me? That is 100% true. And if you just watch through the end of this live, we'll give you how you can contact us and how you can set up a free phone consultation. Oh, there we go. A free phone consultation with me. You can just email amy@hopeessentials.com and we'll be able to get you set up for that. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Hope Metabolomics process and how we would determine whether you might possibly have a chronic virus that could be driving your autoimmune condition. Now, one of the big problems in functional medicine out there, and maybe you have all been looking for functional medicine providers, or you're looking in integrated health providers, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so ridiculously expensive. They want me to do $2,000 worth of blood work. They want me to do a spit test. They need a stool test. They want a hair analysis test. They want a food sensitivity test. Like they want $2,000-$3,000 worth of testing. And as great as all those tests are, I'm not negating that those are awesome tests, and I'm not negating that your doctor isn't awesome and that they're not going to do an amazingly great job for you. But I know a lot of people who don't get the help they need because the upfront cost of all that testing is insane. It's so much. So if that's you, what we do at Hope Metabolomics is I can actually take oftentimes a blood work that you've already had done, right? Normal blood work that you've had done in the last year. I can sift through that in a very functional medicine specific way and find tidbits, processes that could be going on that maybe, they don't mean you have a disease right now, but they can be an indicator of, oh, this person probably has a chronic infection, maybe a chronic virus, maybe a chronic bacteria, maybe they have a parasite that no one's really paying attention to. Maybe they have an old Epstein-Barr virus that's bothering them. Maybe they have an old like herpes virus that could blow up and be shingles soon, but they have an old herpes virus that's got their immune system constantly driving and aggravated. Maybe they have an anemia. Maybe they have certain, maybe they're already developing the telltale signs of of certain types of anemia. So their cells are having problems carrying energy around, right? So we can take good old fashioned, oftentimes just normal blood work that your doctor may have already done on you in the last year. So guess what? I don't need a whole bunch of new testing. Literally, if you send me just your regular blood work, and what I'm going to ask everybody, anybody who's watching this, if you would like me to do a live analysis of your blood work on Metabolomic Monday, go ahead and send me a copy. Oh, there we go. Mary Blackburn from Matewan, West Virginia. Woo! I gotta tell, that is my mom's hometown. We were just there not long ago. I love me some Matewan, West Virginia. Um, and my uncle lives there right now. And Sandy, all my good people that live in Matewan, West Virginia. I love y'all. So thank you, Mary, for getting on and mentioning that. That's amazing. For those of you that don't know, that is like literally the home of the Hatfield-McCoy feud. I happen to be very, very related to the Hatfields. So just a little tidbit, little aside, fun info. So, but here's the thing. If, we can take that good old fashioned foundational blood work that you probably already have, and I can sift through it. But if you would like anybody, I know, look at that. Mary, you graduated with my Uncle Willow. Oh, well, that's amazing. Well, please say hi to him if you see him on the street in downtown tomorrow. There is, if you would like me to go over your blood work live on a live like this, please just email it to, and you can send it to the same place that you would set up your free consultation, which is just email it to me, but you can email it to amy@hopeessentials.com. Just attach your old blood work to it and say, could you please analyze this on a live for me? Please give me permission to do it. We will block out your name and your birth date and all that kind of stuff, but I will bring it online just like this, and I will go through it step by step. I think that would be a really fun thing to do. I think you'll get a lot out of it. And so any of you who'd like to do that, just email your blood work to amy@hopeessentials.com, and I'd be glad to do it. So we've got this old blood work. It's probably been done in the last year, and we can find very specifically things that are going on in there that aren't like you have a disease, but they do tell us a story. Now, when we take that blood work and we marry that with our metabolomics testing, and that metabolomics testing is testing the small molecules that are the byproducts of all the chemical reactions that happen in your body, and with those little leftover particles, you pee them out. And when you pee them out, we can see them in your urine, and then we know how are all these metabolic processes going on in your body. And it tells us, like, how are you digesting your food? Do you have too many bad bacteria in your gut? Do you have too many yeast or fungus in your gut? Is your gut imbalanced and you're having problems breaking down your food? How about like how are you breaking down proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and converting them into energy? How are your cells in your mitochondria actually making energy? Do you have too much oxidative damage? How is your gut health? How is your neurotransmitter health? Those chemicals in your brain. Like, oh, Julie just wrote #yes. Dr. Jim can analyze your blood work. Thank you. Yes, Julie, I might have analyzed yours before. And we can see, do you have all the B vitamins you need? Do you have all the C, the E, the A? Like, do you have all the vitamins and minerals and amino acids that your body needs to make sure that your body is functioning well? When we marry your old blood work with this new test, literally, we can help you with your autoimmune conditions. And this is how it works. Because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into somebody that we've actually worked with this exact process, who has a couple autoimmune conditions. And I want to show you sort of the things that we found. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up, hold on. Boom. Okay. So the first thing I want to do now, of course, I've pulled out just small pieces of the blood work, not the whole thing, but I want you to see what we can find. So the first thing where I want to look here is this is from a CBC and platelet count with no differential that we took from their old blood work. Okay. And the first thing I'm looking up here is at the WBCs. That stands for white blood cell count. Now, over here, the normal range, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, is 3.4 to 10.8. But I want you to know something. I want you to know how they figure out what's considered the normal range. My son just took AP Stat this year, and he goes, and once he and I talked it over, I went, oh, that's exactly how they do it. Is they take all the people who gave blood, right? And all the white blood cell counts they've ever taken. And then they draw a bell curve around it. All right. And anybody in the bell curve is considered normal. All right. And if you're 1 to 2 standard deviations too low, that's abnormal. 1 to 2 standard deviations too high, that's abnormal. But the bell curve they consider normal. But my question to you is, who's getting their white blood cell count done? Do you think it's always people who feel great? Do you think the data set that they're using is 100% healthy people? No, it's very, very often it's all the sick people in your area who are giving blood. So the point is your white blood cell count 3.4 to 10.8. That seems like a giant range, okay? I would say that's not the ideal range. That's the disease range. If you're outside of that, you have a disease, all right? But somewhere between 5 and 8 is what's considered the functional range, okay? Actually, wrong. 6 and 8. 6 and 8 would be the functional range, all right? That's where it's ideal. So let's look at what we had. And what's cool is we have a before and we have a previous result, and then we had the current result. So this was like last year's blood work and then the more recent blood work. Now, this is all before we work together, okay? So let's look here. White blood cell count. Okay, 5.4. Now, remember, I said ideal would be 6 to 8, so that would be low. But then we can look at this one, the most recent one, 4.5, even lower. Now, why would you end up with a low white blood cell count? Now, there can be a lot of reasons, but one of the primary reasons you get a lower white blood cell count, lower than 6, is that your immune system is constantly fighting some type of infection. And it's not like an infection you just caught. Not like, oh, I just got a sinus infection. Because if you just got sick like 3 days ago, normally you'll see your white blood cells go high. Like you got a fever and your white blood cells will go high because it's trying to fight an infection right now. But if they go low, what it typically means is you've been fighting some type of infection for a long time, and it's using up all your white blood cells, so they're getting less and less and less over time. So when we see this 5.4 down to 4.5, this is a red flag to me that this person is fighting some type of chronic infection. Now, what kind of infection might they be fighting? Well, here's the thing. Normally, you see this says no differential. I would like to have a differential, because what a differential is going to do is it's going to help me determine whether it's a viral infection, a bacterial infection, whether it could be parasitic, whether it's possibly Epstein-Barr, all those kinds of things. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter. We just know this person has a long-term sort of chronic infection, most likely some type of old viral infection. And it just so happens that chronic viruses are a major driver of autoimmune conditions. And it just so happens that this person clearly has some type of chronic infection, most likely a virus, and they have a bunch of autoimmune conditions. So bam, there it is, chronic virus, one of the main things driving autoimmune conditions. Now, I wanted to show you something else that we found here, which is the MCV. So that stands for your mean corpuscular volume. That is the size of your red blood cells. Now, anything 92 or above, I consider it's getting higher than we want it to. Okay. Why would you get red blood cells that are getting higher than we want? Is it typically means that you could be low in some, it's called a megaloblastic, which means a large, a macrocytic, large red blood cell type of anemias often come from that. And when the bigger your red blood cells get, it's typically an indication that you could be low in B12 or folate. Okay. These are important things to know. So here's the thing. We found out this person has some type of chronic infection, most likely a virus, and that we may be low in like B12 because our red blood cells getting bigger and we don't like it. Now, let's look at our next slide, because I went through and did an analysis of the blood work that I saw. And we did see low white blood cell count, chronic infection, most likely. It could mean low grade, a low grade infection, or possibly some type of infection in the gut. It means the immune system is overworked and getting run down. Now, we correlated this with the metabolomics test because we found in the gut lots of bad bacteria and things like that in the gut. So in addition to possibly have a chronic virus, we definitely have an overgrowth of bad bacteria in the gut that the immune system is constantly working on fighting. And these are all things that would beat down the immune system, okay? And which would further drive an autoimmune condition. We also noticed we had higher than what we would like liver enzymes, which would possibly the beginning of possible fatty liver, which can be from insulin resistance, which we did confirm in the metabolomics test, possible post-viral infection, or impaired detox, which we also confirmed on the metabolomics test. Then we had the higher MCV, which means larger than normal red blood cells, usually an indication of B12 or folate need. This was also confirmed with a metabolomics test. So what's cool here is we have the normal blood work that we looked at, then we have the metabolomics test, and the metabolomics test is confirming the issues that we found on the regular blood work. So we know not only that that these are true, but we know what the problem is and what we need to do about it. Because listen, just knowing the problem doesn't help anybody. We got to know what we do next. So we started with this person on a process of following an eating style. We typically will follow our Hope 30 program as part of an eating style while we're working on making sure that we're fixing the metabolic needs, the metabolic breakdowns that we find. And so this person started on that process, and we started taking the specific supplements to support what their metabolomics test showed us was out of balance. Now, here's something that's important. And this is a before and after, because I've now worked with this person for 3 months. And what's amazing is this person had a tremendous amount of oxidative damage. So I want you to look up here at the top one, oxidative stress markers. Right here, oxidative damage. This one at the top called lipid peroxidase. This is an enzyme that is made when there is damage to the oxidative damage to the cell membranes. Now, why would that be important for autoimmunity? Well, your cell membranes, every cell has one. There are tons of little proteins all on that cell membrane that communicate with your immune system. And basically, they tell your immune system that that is one of your cells, that it's not a foreign cell, it's not a bad guy. Hey, listen, when my cell membrane is perfect, it tells my immune system, please don't attack me, I'm you. Friendly fire, don't come after me, okay? But when there's been a lot of damage to the cell membrane through oxidation, and how would you get that? Well, chronic viruses, chronic infections, throwing off all kinds of oxidation, you get damage to the cell membrane. And the way I like to think about that is it makes your cell membrane unrecognizable to your own immune system, right? So think about this. If you went today and you went and bought a brand new, beautiful car, insert your favorite car. Like imagine you just went and brought a beautiful red Ferrari right off the parking lot, and you drove it off the parking lot and you went and you parked it in your driveway. And you're like, that's my Ferrari in the driveway. But it's summertime. And every once in a while, if you live in the South like I do, there may be an incredible hailstorm that rolls through your town. And what if the golf ball, softball size hail, starts falling out of the sky and starts beating on the roof and the hood and all across the top of that car and just dents it to high heaven? Well, if you walk out there tomorrow, it is highly likely that your beautiful Ferrari is no longer recognizable to you. It no longer looks like what you drove off the parking lot just a day before. Well, guess what? If that's like oxidative damage. And if that was your cell membranes, your immune system looks at it and it no longer recognizes it as being you. So what happens is your immune system is more likely now to attack your own cells. That sounds a lot like an autoimmune condition, doesn't it? So when you have oxidative damage to your cell membranes, it's been theorized as a major driver of autoimmune conditions. Well, part of that is from chronic infection driving the damage to the cell membrane. Now your immune system can't tell that's your cell and starts attacking your own cells. So lipid peroxidase is an indication of how much of that damage. Now look, this person's was pegged out all the way to the top, 18.4 when we started. Now, this is what's really cool. Only 3 months in of working with me on a comprehensive Hope Metabolomics program and following the eating style and taking the supplements that we recommend, that lipid peroxidase is almost cut in half. Look at that. It's now at 10.3. It is almost in it is closer to green now than it was when we started. Like it's closer to green now than to where it was when it started. That's how much it's changed. It's almost cut in half. All right. In another 3 months, that's going to be in the green. Now, I want you to think about that. What will that do for your autoimmune condition if all of a sudden your cell membranes now look like your actual cells? And I want you to think about it. What if those were thyroid cells of yours? What if those were cells in your joints? What if those were cells in your myelin sheath? Or what if those were pancreatic cells? Or all the different places that autoimmune conditions that you know of, what if those were skin cells, right? All the different places autoimmune conditions could attack. If your cells start looking like themselves again, your immune system is less and less likely to do it. And so this is a person who's already seeing tremendous change in their cell membrane health. There's less oxidative damage. And part of it is we've been attacking these old chronic viruses as well as giving the body the antioxidants to clean up this as well. Now, something else I wanted to talk about. Remember, we talked about the large red blood cell size. It's possibly being a folate or B12 deficiency. Well, here we go. This was our before methylation markers. Folate at the top, B12 at the bottom. Look, folate was, it was deficient to the red. All right. That's what our very first metabolomics test showed us. Now, literally after working only together for 3 months, bam. Doesn't that look perfect? 2 side by side in the green. That includes better energy, better oxygen carrying capacity of the red blood cells. This person has so much more energy, can move around and do more things. This is a dramatic change. And this is all from making sure that we're supporting the methylation pathways, making sure we're getting the B vitamins in that we needed to help fix that problematic area. Okay. So here's an important thing I want you guys to know. It started for us of what could a chronic virus drive your autoimmune condition? The answer to that is 100% yes. And how does it do it? Well, it does it in a couple ways. But number one, is a chronic virus or some type of chronic infection is going to stress your immune system all the time. And that creates a ton of oxidative damage. And eventually that oxidative damage starts to damage your cell membranes. And now your cell membranes no longer look like original equipment to your immune system, so your immune system can attack it. So whether those are thyroid cells or joint cells or muscle cells or nerve cells or liver cells, any kind of cell, your immune system can attack it now. And so as we work on clearing out that chronic virus and we work on making sure that we're clearing up the oxidative damage, slowly over time, your immune system goes, wait a minute, that's my cells. I shouldn't attack those. And your autoimmunity continues to calm down over time. It's an incredibly positive event. And this is what we're seeing in this. Now, we're still working. We're still moving in the right direction. But I just want everybody to know that's what's going on. And also that through this process, we are fixing deficiencies in other areas, because literally this person was not making enough cellular energy because they were deficient in folate, and now they are not deficient in folate, and their cells are making more energy, which is helping their body heal more and more. So here's what I want you to know. If you are, if you would be like, wow, this is awesome, I've got a couple things that I would recommend. Number one, if you have this kind of issue, if you have an autoimmune condition or a health condition and you're like, you know what, I've been looking at traditional functional medicine, integrative health, but it's also expensive and I don't think I could do it because of all the expensive testing and everything. Please, 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 what I'm going to recommend that you do is reach out to me for a free phone consultation. So if you just go over and email to amy@hopeessentials.com and just say, I would like to set up a free phone consultation with Dr. Jim, Dr. Holland, to talk about metabolomic testing. Okay. Amy will send you a portal. You can set up your own appointment, and you and I will take 15 minutes where I'll ask you all about your health. I'll ask you what's been going on, what you've done, how's that working for you, and ultimately, I'll give you some insight into if you can send me a bunch of your most recent blood work, what you have, and do we think that getting the metabolomics test is a good idea, and we can order that. And once we do that, then we'll talk about like, hey, let's work together with your regular blood work and your metabolomics test, and let's get on a game plan to get you back in the direction that you want to go. So if you're interested in the metabolomics testing, if you're interested in do I think I can help your case, please just go and email amy@hopeessentials.com and go ahead and ask for a free consultation. She'll send you a link to set up that phone consultation. Now, the other thing is, if you do have blood work and you're like, wow, I think it'd be cool if Dr. Jim would go through my blood work live online without sharing my name or my birthday or anything like that. Why don't you can also email me that to amy@hopeessentials.com. And listen, that goes for all of you watching on YouTube. That goes for everybody on all the different pages on Facebook. Listen, it's just for information purposes. I don't have to be your doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. This is literally just us doing a demonstration of going through your blood work and what it can mean. And so I don't have to know you. If you're like, wow, how would I feel sending my blood work to some doc online I don't know? It would be awesome, because this is what we do all the time in our Hope Metabolomics program, and I would love to be able to help you. And if nobody else has any other questions, thank you guys for getting on tonight. I really, really appreciate the simple answer is yes, a chronic virus could drive your autoimmune condition. I think we laid out a beautiful way on how that works. And ultimately, what we're already seeing is that when people work with us through this program, we can make a significant impact in autoimmunity by working on fighting off chronic infections, so that then we have less oxidative damage, and then we're cleaning up the oxidative damage as well, so that your immune system recognizes your cells and no longer wants to attack them. And then we make good cellular energy so your body can heal. It's a lot of moving pieces, but we make it very, very simple for you. and really easy and really cost effective. So I hope you got a lot out of tonight. So just like I tell my son every day before he goes to school, be your very best today. Hashtag never quit. I believe that God wants the very, very best for you. And the day you believe that could change your life forever. Have an awesome, awesome night. Good night, everybody.